All right. We made it.
Hi, yes, we made it.
Show number 3.
Show number 3.
Welcome to the pre-show, everybody.
Yeah, welcome to the pre-show. You and I are getting better at our high fives.
We are. We've been practicing.
I want to say thank you to Carl for decorating our set for Christmas. We have our Christmas tree back there.
It's fun. It's that time of year, right?
Yeah,
you gotta,
absolutely.
We were talking about staging and how your house is decorated for the holidays. So I just thought, you know what? I saw that sitting here. I'm like, I'm gonna throw that back there. A little bit of.
So should I share my secret about my tree upstairs at my own house?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I always had a great big, beautiful tree that was expensive that took like 2 hours to put together with multiple people. And so a couple of years ago, I decided, you know what, I'm going to buy a nice little tree, decorate it. And it does take a couple people to bring it up and down the stairs, but it's already decorated. It
is. It really is. And it was sitting over there when we were building, it's an amazing thing. So, the holidays, everybody does it different.
Right, yeah.
And so Kate and I were talking this morning about going and getting our tree. And we used to go and cut one down every year. So it was this big event.
I love the smell of a real tree.
I do too. He was talking about that this morning. He was talking about like the difference between artificial trees and real trees. So we're going to get our tree this weekend. Nikki might come over and help us decorate it.
Aww, cool.
But yeah, it's cool. I just love, I love that whole aspect of the holidays.
I do too.
And
he has 2 amazing kids, and
very blessed.
His little one is super cute, and he'll definitely, clips of him will eventually be on the show. His older one is amazing as well. She's a rock star. And I have a great niece and nephew that I can't wait to celebrate.
You do?
Yeah, look at this. Wait, look what we have here. We have our, what is this? It's it's balsam and cedar scented candle.
Love it.
To celebrate the holiday season.
It smells good. It smells good. Well, we've got a really cool show lined up today.
We do.
And all of this, like last week when we were talking about the show topic for this week, we were kind of going through it. I loved our discussion.
Yes.
Because, it's funny because people always compliment us on how well we get along and the chemistry and all that stuff. And we really do. I mean, we know each other for a long time. But every once in a while, it's kind of like, I don't really see it that way. But last week, we had one of those situations, and she really lined up some amazing content. So tell them what we're going to talk about. This fair market value on both sides, right?
Yeah, we're talking about fair market value. With a seller, when you're determining fair market value, it's really important to try and price that house as close to it as possible, because the closer to fair market value you are,
right,
the more people that are going to come and see your house, because when it's overpriced, you don't get as many showings. And it almost sounds counter-intuitive, doesn't it?
It
to
really
a lot
does.
of the sellers, that if we price it a little bit lower, we're going to get lowball offers.
It does.
But what we have found right now in our current market is really, overall, pretty much in Southeast Michigan, the listed sold price ratio is approximately between 96 and 98.5%, depending on which specific little market that you're in.
Which is a really big deal. Like a lot of people don't get that, and there's a lot of mystery around those numbers. Like when you talk like ask to sale ratio, and we start using all this real estate lingo.
Oh yeah,
we're trying to make it. So today you're gonna do your magic, which is one of the things that you're amazing at, is taking really complicated. She's incredible at taking really complicated things and drilling them down so that they're super understandable. And when you watch her go through this process, like what you guys see on the show, is her going through her process that she goes through with her clients on a day-to-day basis. And I've been fortunate enough to see that for a long time. But now that we had the live show, everyone else gets to see it, which I think is pretty cool.
They do. Yeah. They get to see it. So we're going to be talking about fair market value and how it affects the way in which a seller prices their home. We're also going to be talking about fair market value and how that affects how buyers offer when they put together the purchase agreement in which they're offering to purchase the property.
Right.
And both parties are taking it into account. So if there is a really great real estate agent representing the seller and a really great real estate agent representing the buyer, both parties know that they're going to be taking into account what is the fair market value.
Right.
And there have been times that whether it was the sellers felt that because of how many updates and upgrades they've done, that the house is worth a lot more. They're not understanding what the ROI, return on investment, is during the appraisal process.
Right.
They might want to price the house a little high. And what we tell the buyers is, okay, let's say that the house is worth $300,000, for example.
Right.
If they are asking $325,000, then guess what? we're going to lowball that offer all day long, and we have justification for doing it because we can provide research that shows that. If the house is worth $300,000 and they're asking $290, then guess what? We are definitely going to be going in over the asking price and also maybe offering some other incentives because we know that that listing agent either A, priced it aggressively for a quick sale, or B, maybe we're looking at some different comparables than we were looking at when we were figuring out the fair market value.
For sure. And we're going to get into all that. And one of the cool things about it is that, and I love the way that everything's divided up today, because we're going to talk about like the real numbers and what really matters, and then we're going to talk about the emotional stuff too.
Yes.
Because the emotional stuff at the end of the day is, I think that's where most people kind of trip up, because it seems like it makes sense. Like we should really focus on this, or we should really think about that. But at the end of the day, it really is simple if you take the emotion out of it.
Absolutely.
You know, it's just there's numbers, and the market will support a certain price, and fair market value is based on math and science, and there's a little bit of art to it too. But at the end of the day, if it's not worth it, it's not going to appraise, so you're not going to be able to buy it or sell it anyway.
Right.
So really coming in there is critical.
Why don't we start out by telling actually the real true definition of fair market value? A lot of people don't realize this.
Great idea.
Fair market value is what a ready, willing, and able purchaser will pay for the home, and then what it will appraise for. And sometimes fair market value for a particular property that maybe has a ton of upgrades and a ton of updates and a lot of money in the finished basement and so on and so forth, maybe fair market value is a little bit higher than what it would appraise for. However, sometimes we have buyers that say, okay, guess what? The return on investment for these sellers for this $50,000, $60,000 basement that they put in, they're maybe only getting an adjustment of $15,000 from the appraiser, but they would rather pay a little bit more than what the home is currently worth to not put $60,000 into the basement because they know that they want that.
They do.
So every situation is very different.
I love how excited you got. Seriously, like I was talking about this the other day on a coaching call about how excited and passionate you got, because like we're in the pre-show and you're like diving in.
I know.
So we're going to get into all that stuff and in a lot of detail, which is going to be awesome. But, we got a couple more minutes for the pre-shows. So if you're new and you're just joining us today for the first time, type new in the comments. We get the comments real time so we can see everything. If you're new, let us know by saying new. We'd love to say hi to you and welcome you to the show.
Yep, we can see comments as they're coming in. And occasionally, if somebody has a question that they really want answered live on, I like to say on the air, but live being streamed.
Yep.
So
live on the show.
Live on the show. Okay, how about that?
So we can answer your questions live. So remember that. And then if you want notifications of the show when we go live, it's pretty cool. If you type show in the comments, you'll get an immediate message through Facebook Messenger. And then it'll ask you if you want to be notified for show.
You rocked it out. It literally, as soon as you type show or the different cool things that we're offering, we won't tell him yet. But when they get to it, he has it so that it's just automated. So you don't have to ever deal with feeling like, one of us is going to call you up and say, hey, we want an appointment,
No, it's not like that. This is all about giving you information, and it's a very low stress, low pressure situation. It's
Absolutely.
Like, if what we're saying makes sense, give us a call. Shoot us a message.
Absolutely.
If not, that's totally cool too. But we're going to have all kinds of things that we're going to provide. Today's a snow day.
I know.
So I'm a little interested to see how this goes.
I'm a tad nervous because our bandwidth is a little...
I was just going to get into that. Without getting all the dorky details,
we had a blizzard yesterday.
And we have a huge internet pipe. And in order to do a show like this from the studio here, we have to be able to stream it out, and we have to have a lot of bandwidth.
Right.
Well, when the whole neighborhood is home using the internet, like they are right now, because all the kids are home from school, lots of parents, the internet bandwidth for the neighborhood where the studio is here in Mountain Clements, it gets throttled back. So our internet right now is running a little bit slower than normal, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see. We're in a very small little studio right in downtown Mount Clements, and so there's a lot of families that are home because it's a snow day. Yeah,
we'll see how it goes.
Let me say something since we're in the pre-show. What do we have?
44 seconds.
Okay. So my lead buyer's agent Danielle.
What's up, Danielle?
I know you're watching. We had our company Christmas party last night, and
she's making her debut today.
Yes,
that's
right.
Yeah,
we went upstairs to a quiet.
Don't tell them.
Okay, we'll surprise you. We went to a quiet space, and Danielle's gonna be on today. I'm so excited.
Yeah, so it's new, so it hopefully it'll work right. We tested it all out. Everything seemed to be working, but we'll see how it goes. But looking forward to it.
But you know what? Her client, our team client, did an amazing job. She owns a badass salon, and she really rocked it out with Danielle's hair. So
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah, that's a girly thing.
I can't wait to see it. I can't. Not only is Danielle wickedly talented, but she's
and
also
brilliant.
beautiful.
She is.
And,
inside and out.
She got a heart of gold.
She really
does.
does.
She really does.
She really
so.
does.
Look at that. Okay, so the pre-show is over.
Pre-show's over.
All right, here we go. Let's kind of give them a recap, like just a real high level of what we're going to be talking about today. And so, in general, so we're talking about fair market value for both buyers and sellers.
Yeah.
Right. And then so both sides of the transaction coin. And then of course we're going to get into we have our listing, our featured listing of the day, or of the week.
Yeah, featured listing of the
week.
week.
And then Danielle's going to help us with the featured buyer,
about the featured
which
buyer.
is super excited.
Yep. And we're talking about how fair market value affects your asking price as a seller as well as your offering price as a buyer.
And a lot of people don't realize that fair market value does apply equally on both sides of the equation.
It really does.
A lot of buyers think, oh, just whatever. But that's not how it works. Fair market value, it ties into so many parts of the process.
Yes, so many buyers want to go by the asking price and they want a deal. So if the asking price is $300, we're going in 20 under because we want a deal. It all depends on what the value is, not what the asking price is for the buyers. And so for the sellers, we want to keep that, at the top of the mind awareness that that's what the buyers are thinking when they're coming in with offers.
So I'm excited about this topic because I think it's going to be super educational. And then we've got our featured listing, our featured buyer. We're going to do market stats. So we're going to dive a little bit into, and we're doing it on a national level today, which I'm kind of excited about. So we're going to be borrowing Gary Keller and Jay Papasan's numbers, which they do an amazing job. And every year they publish quarterly updates on the market stats. So we're going to share some of that, guys, on a national level. So you can kind of see how the national level drills down to the local level, which it's important because the trends are set at a national level.
And also, for anybody that's not familiar with Keller Williams, Gary Keller is our visionary. He's one of our founders. And Jay, who just mentioned, is also one of the co-authors of The One Thing, which is a great selling book. I love our company. I love our visionaries, our leaders, and I've gotten a lot of inspiration from them. And I just love that we work for a company that is on the forefront of technology and education. So they absolutely love that we can borrow their stuff and
really
provide it to you guys. So
yeah, and they're super, super brilliant. And a lot, like the show. I honestly don't know if we hadn't been part of Keller Williams as long as we have, and had access to that visionary, trend-setting attitude where we're always pushing boundaries. Do you really think we'd be doing this?
Oh my gosh. I remember the first family reunion that I went to, and we call our national convention family reunion because we're a very family-based company. We put God first, then family, and then business, and all in that order. All things come into place thanks to Moe Anderson.
Right.
Yeah. Anyways, the very first one that I went to, I think maybe had 8,500 people, and we were so excited that we were ranked, number 5 or 6, I think, by agent count, and now we just blew it out of the water.
It's amazing.
Because everybody truly does see that even the people that are at the top level of the company are still consistently striving to get to the next level, push the boundaries.
And that's really, I guess that's kind of the crux of what I was saying. Is that
I can't wait for that. I have a coach. Hi, Craig. I know you're watching.
What's up, Craig? I can't wait to talk to you, man.
I know.
But I really think if we weren't in that environment, in that nurturing, forward-thinking, push the boundaries, come up with new ways to help people, I don't know that this show would be a reality today.
Oh my gosh. Like jokingly, people will say, oh, they drank the Kool-Aid. No, they didn't drink the freaking Kool-Aid. They drank a whole gallon of the Kool-Aid. Why? It's good, number one.
It works.
It's sugar-free, right? And just a little bit, it reminds me of when I was vice president of my sorority. And I know I have a lot of my fellow Delta Zetas watching.
Oh boy, here we go.
DZ's in the house.
We should do like a show where you interview some of the people that you went to college with and stuff like that.
Reach out to my top sorority sisters, my favorites that are still my friends, like all the time. I'm like, come in, and it'd be hilarious.
It would be hilarious. Well, we've got
a lot of them are how do you say that?
Mompreneurs.
Mompreneurs.
Mompreneur.
And super, super successful women.
Like Vicky Mashenko.
Yes.
And her show,
amazing. Roden and Fields and all of that. So
Anthony's watching. Danielle, how you guys doing? It's good to see you guys. Just kind of peel through a couple people here. Marcy's watching. Good to see you, Marcy. Thanks for joining. Amy's online.
Hold on. Which Marcy is it? Is it Marcy? Which Marcy?
Marcy Sandals.
Hi, Marcy. Marcy Sandals. I love your family. We sponsored their softball team. I got the trophies in the mail. I posted it the other day on Instagram.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Tony commented he's looking forward to the show. It's a great topic. We're looking forward to it too, Tony. Thank you. Amy, Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday to you too.
Wait, which Amy is that?
Amy Bowser Rollins.
Okay, hi Amy.
She's awesome. Debbie, how are you? Nicole, everybody. Oh, okay. Well, Danielle says shout out to Stacy Rackham. What's up, Stacy?
Stacy's the one who did strawberry daiquiri on Danielle's hair.
Oh, well, there you go.
Wait till you guys see it.
Okay, now I totally get it. I totally get it because I did see the video with Danielle. And Danielle, your hair looks amazing, but I actually know Stacy and I know how talented she is. So
she's a young, brilliant businesswoman, and we are so grateful to have her as our client. And she gives us referrals, and we're so grateful and humbled by your trust in us, and really your trust in Danielle. Because last night we were talking about this super quick. We get so many reviews on Zillow.
Hi, Stacy.
We get reviews on Zillow, our website, Zillow, Truly, whatever. And all the time, people will say, "Oh, Taleya did a great job. She negotiated us, a great deal, blah, blah, blah." But I get reviews for Danielle that say, Danielle is an angel sent from God.
She is. She is.
And it's like, no one ever said that about me. What? And truly, Danielle is loved by her clients.
She truly is.
She does such a great job.
Stacy, so. if you're still watching, you have a second, send the name of your salon real quick. I know you're in Ferndale, right? And because we'd love
she sponsored our event and helped to raise all that money for the KW relief for the hurricane victims.
But I'd love to mention the name of your salon, and if you just shoot us where you're at, what street you're on, we'd love to share that with everybody.
Throw it out there, give you a shout out.
And then Ron wrote in, he loves the festive background. He said, great job putting the show together. Thank you, Ron. Thank you.
Go Christmas.
All right.
Go Christmas.
Right? All right. Well, hey, I'm gonna make sure that everything's set here the right way, and it is. So you ready to rock and roll?
I'm ready to rock and roll.
All right, do your thing, girl.
All right, I'm Taleya, and we are here to help you to buy and sell with confidence.
Without feeling lost in the process.
Absolutely.
And this is Smart Real Estate Live. All right.
We're back.
We're back. All right. So everybody, thanks for tuning in.
Thank you so much for tuning in.
I am super excited.
I am super excited too. If you're just tuning in now, we just finished up our pre-show, and we have a great show today.
We do.
We have a lot of good stuff.
We really do. We really do. And real quick, just before we dive into everything else, if you're interested in keeping updated on the show, you can type "show" in the comments, SHOW, and when you do that, what's going to happen is you'll get an automatic notification from Facebook.
Yep.
It'll say, would you like notifications for future shows when we go live?
Yep.
And then you just type yes, and then as soon as you do that, or you type "show" again, I think it is. As soon as you do that, you get added, and then Facebook will send you a notification every week about 10 minutes before we go live, so you can grab a cup of coffee, whatever, kind of get settled in.
Yep.
And if you know anyone that's thinking about buying or selling a home, please, by all means, share this with them. Right now, just click the share button, send it to them, tag them, whatever you want to do.
It's
because
very pertinent information that we're hearing, out there in the real estate world. The questions that we're getting right here, right now. That's what we're truly trying to provide on a weekly basis to everybody.
Okay.
So.
It is. Yeah. It's great information. So that's fantastic. So if you missed us for the pre-show, we were having a little bit of a dialogue with Stacy Rackham, who's a wickedly talented hair artist. I'm going to go that route because
salon owner.
She's really good. And the name of her salon is Mint Hair Crafting, and she's in Royal Oak. So I apologize, Stacy. I thought it was Ferndale, but regardless, I've known Stacy since before she had the salon, and kind of talked to her for a couple years while she was cutting my hair and things like that as she was making that move. And
you know what? Probably because she bought a fabulous home with Danielle in fashionable Ferndale.
There you go.
And then opened up her amazing salon in Royal Oak.
That might be it. Well, anyways, Mint Hair Crafting in Royal Oak, Stacy Rackham.
Great client. Check her out.
Awesome. Okay, so what do you, let's just jump right in. So we're gonna get into market stats.
To the market stats. Okay.
Right.
Let's.
And then so we're looking at them on an annual basis. And you want me to take that one real quick?
Yeah, take it.
Cool.
Can we put it full screen?
We
for
will
a second?
for sure. So what a lot of people may or may not realize is that the housing market, no matter where you live, is actually driven by national numbers, and then it drills down to the local levels.
Absolutely.
Now, of course, certain cities, municipalities, townships, etc., they may perform better or worse, but in general, it's all led at a national level. And so there's a couple of things that kind of get into that. And if you look at, the top of the market, the downturn, and then you look at the bottom of the market, which we just came out of a few years ago. Right now, we're in the recovery mode, and then that angular line shows the long-term trend, which is price appreciation, and all the numbers look better. And that's a really powerful thing.
No, we'll leave that on the screen for 1 second.
For sure.
I want to ask you a question for our viewers that might not be quite understanding this.
Yeah.
So where the gold is at the end where it says recovery.
Right, that's where we are right now.
Like where the upturn is at where it says the bottom where the two meet. Now that's like 2011.
Yeah,
right
around 2010, 2011 is where we bottomed out in Michigan.
Right.
Now the rest of the country did it at different times. Some had longer and shorter, downturns. Ours was
well, because of the big three and Pfizer and all of that, we were, along with Florida and Vegas, the first three that went into the recession, and we were the first three that came out of it.
Exactly. And I thought this was relevant because I don't remember if it was last week's show or the first show, but one of the viewers asked, are we still recovering, and will prices ever get back to where they were? And
I remember.
Yes. And so this kind of played it. It was Sue. Hi, Sue.
Hi, Sue.
So this kind of goes back to your question, Sue. And like we talked about before, we want to talk about things that we hear about every day. And that was a really valid question that we really couldn't give you a definitive answer. And honestly, no one can.
I actually reached out to Sue afterwards because condominiums and houses sometimes are a little bit different depending on what the association is offering and things like that. And Sue was actually pretty happy to hear how things were going. And so I love their family, and we will be working with Sue again.
Looking forward to that.
So am I.
So when you look at that graph and shows where we are, the real numbers that drive the United States real estate economy, there's really only four things that actually really add up, and it's pretty straightforward, right?
Yep.
So you've got what do we got here?
Home sales.
Yep.
Home price. Yep. Months of supply of inventory,
which is a big one.
That's huge.
Yep.
Mortgage rates.
And mortgage rates. And those four things, when they all interact together, that's what really drives the market, whether it's going up or down or sideways or whatever, right?
You know what? Would you mind if we skipped from 1 to 3 just for a quick second? Because I want to make a point just about
absolutely
about months of supply of inventory.
Well, this is actually key. So I think what's
you
really
want to start? Talk about 1 and 2, and then because I want to dive in.
Well, how about we do this?
3.
How about we do this? I talk really fast, so let's just do this. So if you look at national home sales, you can see that they kind of they crashed, and then 09, 10, and then they went back up, and so this gold, those last gold bars, that's January 17 through September. So it's first, second, and third quarter. Well, you can see that they're up and down, which is kind of a normal market.
Yeah.
But the overall trend is still, home sales are going up, right?
The overall trend is going up, but you still see your slight seasonal differences.
And what you don't want to see is these big dips in home sales, because when you see those big dips in home sales, that means that everything's not selling like it should be, right? And there's something wrong, right?
Right.
Well, then when you take a look at home prices, there's the one that we really, really want to look at, and this is going to tie right into what you're getting ready to dive into.
Absolutely, this
home
graph
prices are going
is amazing.
Up. It really is. Go talk about it.
You know what? Great job with this graph, because I absolutely love. All the time people are asking us, okay, you know what, and I'll explain to my clients, oh my gosh, okay, seriously, hopefully we never end up in the situation that we were in back during the recession, because I feel like a lot of that was due to predatory lending practices. And I'm not saying the lenders were predators. There were just not safeguards involved that were protecting people. And everybody thought, the market's skyrocketing, so it's not a big deal if I get an interest-only loan where, it's good, or, an adjustable rate mortgage that might adjust from 6% to 13% because my values are going up, and then all of a sudden the values started to crash.
Which was crazy.
Right. But with this graph, as you can see, real estate over time is a great investment.
It is.
If you were to look at real estate and compare, in comparison to the stock market on a 100-year span, real estate truly is a wonderfully safe investment.
And part of the reason it was like that was because of what you were just talking about, the mortgages and the mortgage programs. While people will complain about them or say that whatever, there were very few programs. For a long time, you had conventional, you had FHA, you had VA, and cash.
Right.
And that was pretty much it for a long time.
Absolutely.
And then they started introducing all these programs. And I think the original
0 down, no doc loans.
It got to the point where I think I mentioned it on one of the shows where when I was
last time
at Flagstar, I was sitting down with one of the VPs, and they had 120 mortgage programs. That's crazy. Literally, I was joking.
Choose from 120,
And what they were trying to do is they were trying to stimulate the market, and they were trying to stimulate lending, which is where the money is.
And I do love Flagstar because they are a local Michigan-based bank.
Yeah. Tom and his son Mark, they started that. It's an amazing story. But when you have 120 mortgage programs, I used to joke like one of the programs was if you could like steam up a mirror, you got a mortgage. So basically, if you were alive and breathing, but I mean, they didn't, they didn't ask for ID. It was just crazy. Like, oh, don't worry about your income. We try. How much do you make? Oh, that's fine. That's fine. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah, no dog loans. They take your word.
But those days are gone.
Can we put this back on the full screen one more time? Because I really want to show that even though the market is truly like a pendulum swinging, it's always going to be going up and down, whether it's fast or slow. It is a pendulum swinging. That's how I like to. I'm a very visual person, so I try to give my clients that visual that it's like a pendulum swinging. And we have been on an upswing now since 2011, and this is national, right?
Yes.
Okay.
This is first, second, and third quarter, so all the way through the end of September.
Okay, so anybody that's looking at this graph right now, this is slightly skewed for national. For us in Michigan, actually, we started to pick up a little bit higher in right at the end of 2011. Right. Okay. And we're actually still, the prices are still going up, and I think probably a lot of it is because there's a lack of inventory out there.
Well, so. and there is, and we're going to get to that because that's actually your next slide. So
I wanted to skip to that because I think that there's a huge misconception of what really truly creates the difference between a buyer's market and a seller's market.
There is.
And when I remember when I was a new agent and I didn't get it. I was like, I can't grasp this. And finally, my broker at the time, he really broke it down. You know who I'm talking about. Yep. Hi, Jake.
Jake Hewitt.
He really explained it to me and broke it down. Obviously, I like to have fun. I build relationships. Sure. I'm not that much of a numbers person. However, the numbers don't lie. I bring them, and we go through it. Although that's not my favorite part, but truly, I've learned what the difference is between a buyer's market, a neutral market, and a seller's market, and it all comes down to months of inventory.
And the reality is there really is no such thing as a neutral market. If you really dive into the numbers, markets are always going up or down.
Pendulum swinging.
And if they do flatten out, it's usually a very short time.
It's a short time.
So the way I used to describe it to people was because I think a lot of people get the stock market references. So you have a bull and a bear market. Right? Do you understand why those two? So the bull market, if you think of a bull, bulls are always like with their head like this. That just happens. So a bull market is up, right? And when bears are attacking, they swat down, right? So a bear market is down. So when we talk about buyer and seller markets, really what we're talking about is bull and bear markets in reality, because whether it's a buyer or seller market, one thing's for sure, prices are either going up or they're going down, and typically they're going that way fast.
Again, though, it's all about the law of supply and demand. So if we have 2 months of
Hi, Caden.
Oh, is he watching?
He is. He's got a snow day today.
That's his adorable little son.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
Kisses for Caden.
Love you, buddy. Love you. I hope you're feeling better.
I do too.
And I can't wait to see you tomorrow.
Anyways, so back to buyers and sellers markets. Something that I like to really stress, and a lot of people don't understand, if we have only 2 months of inventory, what that means is that if not another single house came on the market tomorrow, how much time would it take to sell the current inventory? 2 months.
Right.
3 months.
Which now I'm going to be a dork.
Okay, be a dork.
Because truthfully, if you only had 2 months of inventory and it started to sell off, by the end of month 2, we would be in a big time seller's market.
Yeah.
Because there would be less inventory by the end of month 2. Right. So, but in general, absolutely.
So let me just put this into a frame of reference. Okay. So normally, a seller's market is, on average, 1 to 5, maybe 1 to 4, depending on your area, months of inventory. Neutral is kind of shifting 5 to 6, sometimes 6 to 7, even up to 8. And the bottom of 2010, guess how many months of inventory we had? We had 33 months of inventory.
It was nuts.
In Michigan.
It was nuts.
It was 33 months.
Which was crazy.
It was the worst. Well, I don't want to say worst because a lot of people maximized that market and made a lot of money.
They did. Well,
at the time, I was not one of them. I was still too... people make a lot of money.
Nor was I, and it really depended on what end of that. But it's just like the stock market, right?
Exactly.
If a stock's going up and you buy at the right time, you're gonna make
Right.
gains on that as it climbs. If a stock's
Absolutely.
going down and you short it,
Right.
you're gonna make money on the way down. So there were, in the crashing market when all that inventory is on the market, the investors really did well. Shout out to Kevin McClellan, sup dog. But yeah, no, it's legit. Like,
shout out to Zev, my investor that just closed
that's right.
too. Yes,
That's right. What's up, Zev?
Zev looked so good at his closing the other day. So
What's
I've
up,
only
decked
ever
out?
seen him, dressed in his work clothes because he's flipping homes. He showed up at the closing and I'm like, wow.
That's
I was
awesome.
like, what's up, Zev?
He's a good dude. He's a good dude. So then the last piece of the puzzle is mortgage rates, and it's really kind of cool when you take a look at the mortgage rate graph, because from January of 2011 through September of this year, the trend is down.
Right.
And people have been really freaking out about that, because if that number changes significantly, things are going to shift.
Well, what's interesting is we've had a couple times over the last 6 months that all of a sudden, quickly, they did a quick little hike.
Yes.
And so people started thinking, oh my gosh, rates are going up. And then everything kind of stabilized for a minute. And
It's
then,
scary when
and
it
then,
happens,
then
though.
the Fed did another rate hike.
Right.
And now we're all wondering because of all of the damage that happened with the hurricanes, with Harvey and with Irma. How is the government going to make up for the huge amount of spending?
Yep.
Is this going to be one of the ways? Some people are predicting it will. It's just we have no crystal ball. We can go by what the professionals in the industry think, that yes, mortgage rates are probably going to go up, but we don't know for sure when. And we just have to be honest with our clients that, hey, it could happen tomorrow. It could happen 2 years from now. At this point, we don't know for sure.
But the good news is that all the numbers right now. The good news is all the numbers right now look really good. Interest rates, the interest rate trend for mortgages is down.
Right. Actually, it's almost at an all-time low right now.
It is.
So it's a great time to buy.
Inventory numbers in terms of how many months of inventory that we have in any given market are staying stable.
Yeah.
Right. There's no
they're low,
big spikes.
But for the holiday, in this time of year, they're relatively stable.
Right, stable, which means that prices will continue to creep up.
Yep.
Right, and everything is going to be fine. So we're in a really good place right now as of today, and I'm looking forward to doing this at the end of the year. We don't get the numbers. See, real estate runs about 30 to 45 days out. So if we write an offer today for a house, it's not going to close for 30 to 45 days.
Yep.
And so we won't know the numbers from everything that sells today until January.
Right.
So the best numbers that we had were, again, from Gary Keller and Jay Pavisan, and they were through the end of the third quarter. So we're going to do that. And then once we get the quarterly numbers and show how the year ended, we'll do that in the first quarter next year. And we'll have a better idea of what's going on more real time.
Yeah,
all right, so let's dive into the good stuff.
Okay, yeah, here we go.
So fair market value for sellers.
Fair market value for sellers. So should we just talk about really, truly how we determine what I do as an agent to determine fair market value?
Well, you touched on the definition of fair market, which is great.
Can we pull that full screen so they can see it?
Absolutely can. And
I love that. I can, whatever I want, he can do it. You're my hero.
So the one thing that you said when you were defining fair market, that was a great definition, by the way.
Thank you.
But I wanted to make sure that I pointed out one thing that I always stress to people is that fair market value, like just to reiterate kind of what you said, is what a ready, willing, and able buyer and a ready, willing, able, or seller are willing to engage with on the transaction. However, when it comes to big things like real estate items and things like that, fair market value is also determined by what makes sense for the buyer and seller if there are no outside extraneous forces.
That's true.
Because if you think about it, when you get into a situation where you have a mandatory relocation,
absolutely,
right?
Yep.
You have a buyer that's probably willing to pay a little bit more because they have to
move,
right?
Yeah.
So that seller is going to have a little bit more. But if you're on the other side of that equation, if you're the seller and you have a mandatory relocation, odds are, even if you don't like it, you're probably going to be faced with the decision of maybe taking a little bit less,
right?
Unless the market's just doing crazy stuff, or if you got a wickedly awesome agent,
or if you work for a wickedly awesome company,
right? That's going to finance the whole thing. But things like probate, right? If you have a death, a lot of times the family members, they don't want to deal with the sadness any longer. They just want to cut.
And what a lot of people don't realize, and I can't say for all of the states, but for our state, if a property is put into a trust, you don't have to deal with probate.
You don't.
Most people think that if you have a will, that everything's going to be fine, and they don't realize, you still have to go through that probate process, which is time consuming. You're spending money on maintaining the home, on taxes, all that stuff. put your house in a trust. Trust me.
It's good advice. Trust you.
Trust me.
She's here all week.
Listen, we should definitely get one of our attorneys that specializes.
It's on the schedule.
Okay.
It's on the schedule.
Oh, see, he's got on the schedule.
Did I tell you? Like I was on a call the other day. I was on a coaching call, and I mentioned the fact that we have a 52-week production schedule laid out for the show. And Lurie,
I gave him my ideas, and he said,
and I took mine, and we meshed them together. And we've got a couple edits to make, but they're really small.
Yeah.
But Lurie Petrucci was like, "Wait a minute, you have a 52-week content calendar already in place?" I was like, "We do," and it's because she said that one day. She's like, "Get your content calendar together," and I just heard it in passing. I was like, "Okay, we're gonna put weekly show, 52 weeks in a year. Let's plan this thing out." She's like, "Gold star for you guys."
Here's the thing. I have a coach through Keller Williams, a MAPS coach, which is it stands for Mega Agent Production System. He's my amazing coach, Craig. Hi. He and I, like, we've talked about this. If you've been in real estate for a long time, the questions that are asked every year in fall, the questions that are asked every year in January, the questions that are asked in spring. And so we really wanted to put together a show for everybody that addresses the questions that we are hearing, the here and now. So.
Absolutely. And this is one of the questions that we're getting all the time.
Yeah.
Is how do I determine fair market value? And that really never goes away. It doesn't matter what's going on with the market. But, there's...
Every real estate agent does it maybe a little bit differently.
A little bit different?
A little bit differently.
A little bit differently?
Okay, everybody's different. When I go to a listing presentation,
See how she blew me off on that one?
I have had people say, your listing appointment with your sellers should be no longer than 45 minutes or an hour. I can't grasp how that happens, because when I walk through the house, if I haven't been to the home before, if it's not a home that I helped them purchase and I'm just looking for the upgrades, updates, so if it's a brand new client or referral, actually I'm so excited. I'm meeting with a brand new potential seller that's coming Wednesday who saw the show last week.
Nice.
Hi, Katie. I can't wait to meet you. I haven't been to the home yet.
So how long do you think you'll be there?
I'm probably going to be there an hour and a half.
That's what mine were always 90 minutes. When I did a listing presentation or a listing appointment.
I really, when I first get to the home, I will come with comparables based on generalized information I can find online, square footage, things like that.
Right.
But when I get to so I'll have all of the potential comparables with me. When I get to the house, I walk through the home with the seller and I'm asking them questions. Is this porcelain or is this ceramic?
Right.
Are these cabinets cherry? How about these in the bathroom? Are these maple?
Right.
Looking at the thickness of the granite. Asking them questions about the windows. Are they Anderson windows, or are they, name brands,
whatever,
custom paint, all that kind of
wood
stuff.
windows versus
taking
vinyl.
all the notes so that when we sit down at the table, I feel like I really now have learned that house. I ask so many questions. That's what I do. We walk through. I have the iPad. I'm asking questions. So when we sit at the table, I'll pull out. I always give my sellers a full color copy. I try to save ink. Okay, black and white for me. We'll look through and I will say, okay, let's go through these comparables, the inside photos, and look at what they list as the amenities and everything. And we will find the homes that both they and myself agree are the most comparable homes.
Relevant,
okay,
which is similar to what an appraiser does.
Right.
But the beauty of what you're doing there is you're looking at the intrinsic value factors, and intrinsic means that they are core to the value of the house.
Absolutely.
They're not based on opinion. They're not based on emotion.
Right.
So removing things like relocations, probate situations, divorce, which is always a very high stress situation.
Yeah. And the foreclosures, like, even though a lot of the foreclosures are still nice and like Fannie and Freddie sometimes will come in and paint or put in carpet, really truly a home that's lived in and loved, it does make a difference. It really does.
It makes a huge difference. And I am so glad you brought that up, because the bottom line is I actually, honestly, I hadn't really thought about the foreclosures because it's been so level lately. But a lot of people after the crash, they try to give a little bit too much weight to foreclosure prices. And you just can't do that. It's not comparing apples to apples. So I love the fact that you're looking at those intrinsic value items like the location, the age, and you mentioned, upgrades. And I always laugh because the thing about upgrades that's great is there's upgrades. Then there's the quality of the upgrades.
And then there's updates.
And then there's updates or the lack thereof. right? And you always get people that, not always, but there are people that they put a lot of emotion into their projects, like people that do their own work, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm sure you've run into this stuff before, like, you know, and I always used to joke because I never wanted to offend anybody. So well, just because you use the heavy duty nails on the roof does not add $10,000 in value. But, you know, that's the kind of stuff that you would hear. Like, I've heard everything from, well, I used heavy duty nails on the roof. That's 10 grand. No, it's not.
But you know what also a lot of people don't take into account is maybe the house is 20 years old. If that house, when it was built with every single windowsill is marble.
Right.
That is a huge upgrade that maybe my current seller didn't put that in.
Right.
That needs to be pointed out to the appraiser.
It does.
We need to take that into account. The building quality.
You also need to balance that, though.
Yes.
Because remember I shared with you the other day the guy that did the marble bathrooms?
Yes.
He had a beautiful home, and he did all the work himself, and he was Italian, and he had the marble imported from Italy, and literally when you walked in every bathroom of his house, it was like being in a mausoleum. It was floor to ceiling marble, absolutely stunning. Craftsmanship was amazing.
He has family in Italy that literally that's what they do, and he was able to get beautiful custom Italian marble, right?
But his struggle is that he's never going to get the value out of that because it was too much. Right. So there's that piece too. Now, so you're looking. That's where people get confused, I think, because you're mixing the intrinsic stuff, like, well, I redid all the bathrooms and I did them really well, with the emotional stuff. Well, I probably did them a little too well, and now I need to kind of level set on that. And you're really good at doing.
Well, I think what a lot of real estate agents do, they'll just pull all of the comps, and when I say comps, I mean comparable. So what we do as realtors, just for anybody that's tuning in and isn't familiar, we will usually plug in the address of the property. We're going to search in a 1 mile radius. Right. If it's on the edge of a school district, we'll try to keep the same school district. We want to stay within 20% in square footage in either side. So if the house is 1,000 square feet, we search between 800 and 1,200, so on and so forth, all the way up. We want, if it's a ranch and all the bedrooms are on the same floor, we're using ranches. If it's a non-ranch, it could be a split or colonial. They'll still use those in the appraisal. So we're finding the homes that are the most similar to that house. Also, the appraisers are taking into account the homes that have sold most recently. So what I like to do with my sellers is we'll go through together and make a decision and say, okay, hey, these here are the best 3 comparables. Most appraisals, they have 6 spots. Usually the first page, those 3 are the ones that are normally going to be weighed the most heavily. The second 3, they're going to be supporting houses. So if we can pick the best 3 that we think the appraiser is going to use, we can really come close to what we think fair market's value is going to be. However, one thing that can be so confusing to the sellers and a lot of realtors as well, if I am pulling the comps, comping out a house in January. And
so comps is comparables.
Comparable
so
homes.
It's comparable properties that match the house, and then you're analyzing it.
And so if we average what they sold for, and they're very similar to our listing, we can get a pretty good idea of what it's going to appraise for and what fair market value is. However, it's not a science. There's no crystal ball. There have been times where couple months later, when the sellers, had done a couple of things, they wanted to sell this. It happened last year. We put up a house for sale in May, and it was in an area that's inundated with. It's a neighborhood that almost every house has school-age children, and so the summer, made a difference. So all of a sudden, now we're on the market with all of these other houses. So even though we had comparables that supported this price from, a few months ago, because of the law of supply and demand, you have to, like we said last week, win the price war and the beauty pageant. Right? Yes. So it takes a lot, but fair market value truly is what a ready, willing, and able buyer is going to pay. Right.
And what a third party, unbiased third party, like an appraiser is going to appraise it for. And the beauty of an agent like yourself and your team, the way you guys go through the process. And when I was joking about, some agents do it a little different. I mean, come on, you know what I'm talking about. We will never talk bad about anybody. We won't.
No, we won't.
But the reality is, in real estate, just like everywhere else, there are huge differences in the level of professionalism. So if you have an agent that you're working with, like Taleya and her team, where you're going through this process and she's meeting with you before you even list your house, and she's going through this process, what she's talking about is the CMA. This isn't an appraisal, it's a comparative market analysis. Right. But she does it on such a detailed level, it's almost like an appraisal.
Right. But we're analyzing that data so intrinsically that really, truly, I never, ever, ever pressure my sellers for a price. I'll tell them, here's the data. let's make an educated decision. This is where I would suggest pricing it. This is where I'd price it if it were me. You're going to choose the price. And what we have found, and I have so many examples, and I know some of you are watching, to where they wanted to price the house just a little bit higher. And I said, you know, it's probably going to appraise for this, but they're thinking, you know, people will come in low. Right. They listened to me, priced it right where I thought that the fair market value was, and literally, and we generate a bidding war because we got so many people in it, and we ended up selling it for more, not only more than the fair market value, and having buyers that really love the home and were actually willing to pay more than even appraised for, and they have to come out of pocket with that money on top of their closing costs and their down payment to make up the difference. But they know prices are on the rise, and that's their dream house. They're not going to lose it. So which is a great strategy if it's done right, and then and it can go sideways in a hurry. But if you're working with someone, if you're working with someone who really goes through this process with you every step of the way, so before you list the house, and then before you accept an offer, you revisit it. Exactly. Because like you just said, things can change. If the house is on the market for a month or two, you know, maybe things sold and maybe the house is worth more now. Maybe and so all that adjustment comes in, and that's really powerful stuff for sellers. And then of course then you have your third party appraisals, right? Which is after the deal's going, and really if the agent's done their job, that's just going to confirm everything that you thought that you showed them and taught them, which is fantastic. And the other thing too is it's so important. I think that there's a lot of real estate agents out there that think, okay, I priced the house right. There's comparables that have sold for more. There's no problem with the appraisal. And then all of a sudden, it comes in, you know, 10 low. It's like, no, what are we going to do now? No, we don't want to be in the middle of this, you know. Yeah, so, and that's a nightmare. And those are the agents, a lot of those, I mean, unfortunately, like I said, they just don't, they come in with like 3 houses that they picked on their way there on their phone because they were busy, and you know, and they're like, these are the 3, and then they average it out and they say, oh, the average price between these 3 is $220, and maybe the house is worth $270. I mean, you know what I mean? It's just like, I'm a little obsessive. I'm a little OCD when it comes to coming out my house. I literally, I always meet with the appraiser at the house, and just in case anyone's watching, I never do any RESPA violations. Honestly, I would never try and convince anyone to appraise the house anywhere. I want to make sure that the appraiser has a list of the upgrades, the updates that were done to the home, and they know everything about the house that is putting it into a positive light and why it might be better than the comp down the road, because maybe the comparable down the road is on 0.25 acres and our listing is on 0.43. Yeah. For sure. They might not normally take that into account if we don't point it out to them. It makes a big difference. It does. So I love the fact that you take a data-driven approach. You pull out the emotion. It's fun too. It is, and you don't base it on like need. Like just because you need more money to buy your next house doesn't mean your house is worth the money. You know, it's reality. And you know what the best is sometimes during the summer, if I know that for the day I'm going to be either showing homes, for the most part I do prefer working with sellers because I have a great buyer's agent team. Danielle's leading the way with that. I love working with sellers and love marketing. But sometimes when I'm out and about, you know, for the day meeting appraisers, I'll bring Rocky with us. He's our little team mascot. She's a little chihuahua. He's like 8,000 years old. He's 18. Wow. Which is like what, 100 and he loves everybody on our team. When we gave away Tigers tickets, he's a good boy. He was in the same outfit as Paws. He's a good boy. Well, that's really good information. So I'm really excited about this because we finally have the sellers. He's really mean right now. We finally I'm trying to be subtle, but with the seller's guide is ready. Okay, so first of all, let's take some comments first. So Rachel's watching. Hi Rachel, how you doing? Hi Rachel. Oh, and then hi. Candace, I'm sorry, Caden and Candace, they're going crazy with the emojis. I love it. All the little hearts. I love you, buddy. If you're still watching. Aw, thanks for the emojis. Ray Abraham. Oh look, he's got like hearts and dragons and lightning bolts and Pokemon. I love it. Ray Abraham, you're watching. Thanks for tuning in, Ray. And I love Ray's comment. Come on, somebody try and stump the realtor. It'll be fun. This is anytime. So, but Ray actually made a great comment. He said, and this is very humbling. Thank you, Ray. He said, "What a great show." He goes, "I'd list my home with you, and I'm a realtor." So Ray, thank you for that. I love you, Ray. That's awesome. And Jack Barry's watching. Let's each other's houses for one another. Right? It'll be fun. on.
So if you have any questions on anything we've just talked about, if you're a seller, and we're going to get into the buyer segment right now, if you have any questions on anything that we just talked about from a seller's perspective, in terms of fair market value,
determining fair market value
for listing your home,
Absolutely.
feel free to shoot us a comment right now. We can answer it live on the show before the show's over.
We absolutely could.
You could always send us a private message and things like that. But we also, and I'm super excited about this.
Me too. Okay, let's show 'em.
We've got our fall seller's guide ready, which is
it's actually the new.
It is, and that's we had a whole show about it.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of great information there. So,
It's free. We'll send it to you. No
right.
pressure. We're not going to call you and bug you to list the house with us.
Right.
If you want it,
just
mention it.
hit
let us know.
sell guide in the comments
Yes.
right now. Just send the comment sell guide, all one word, and you'll automatically get a link to that. It'll download right to your phone, your tablet,
come
your
right to
computer,
you.
whatever you're watching.
And
on,
you won't
so.
get bugged by us.
So it's
No pressure.
it's great. We don't bug people.
We don't.
We really
We
don't.
really don't.
It's all about educating and helping. So.
I think they like us, right?
We're just trying to help, So, all right. So let's get into our featured buyer, shall we?
Yay!
So
okay, I'm
super excited about this.
part.
All right. So we're gonna try.
Something new.
We're gonna
because this is
yeah.
live TV. So.
This is live, so we're gonna try
Let's
something
try it.
new. Eventually, we're gonna be bringing in interviews and having people outside
Picture
the
in
studio,
picture.
picture, all that stuff. But for right now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna play a little video. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about Danielle for
Do
a change.
it.
So
Talk about it.
Danielle is she's one of the lead buyer agents on Taleya's
The
team.
lead buyers agent?
Yeah, she is the lead buyers, and she's incredible at what she does. She's got
me the longest.
She's got a heart of gold. Actually, I've been with you the longest. She's been with Taleya the longest. She's amazing at what she
Over
does.
4 years.
Yeah, which is she's coming out of that I've made it in real estate time frame, which is awesome.
She knows how to negotiate.
She does.
She did good the other
She
day for
does.
Mike. I can't say as I say for Mike. I know you're watching. You know she did a good job for you.
So instead
So
of
proud
us
of her.
instead of us talking about the featured buyer this week, we're gonna let Danielle do it.
Yes.
All right, you ready?
Yes.
Here we
let's
go.
See if it works. Hi everybody, I'm Taleya. And Danielle and I are actually at our Keller Williams company Christmas party, and we were talking about our buyers of the week for our show, and I'm so excited because I love them. And Danielle has been working with them. This is the lead buyers agent on my team, and she wanted to share some information about what they're looking for. Danielle, tell us about the official buyers of the week. Who are they?
So I have some St. Clair Shores buyers, Angela Mazzara and Andy Johnson.
Yay.
They were a referral from one of my good friends, Allison Mazzara, her sister. They're looking for a 3-bedroom home, at least 1,000 square feet. They really like St. Clair Shores. They could do some of the surrounding areas as well.
What about
they
school
would
district?
love.
Does that
Doesn't
matter?
matter. They don't have.
Okay.
They're not there yet.
Okay.
So they're looking for either a garage or a basement, 3 bedrooms, at least a bathroom, maybe a bath and a half, 2 bathrooms would be great too. So
2-car garage?
if they could, I
Okay.
mean, they're looking for that great solid house that they could just make their own.
Awesome. I love it. Yay. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope that you all have a great day. Thanks.
All right, great job, Danielle.
Yes,
Great job.
Great job, Danielle.
So it seemed like that worked. Hopefully everything looked okay on your end and it came across
Hopefully you
okay.
can hear what we were saying.
Yeah, we test everything out. And, so even when you test it, sometimes,
It's live TV.
What are you gonna do? So, anyways, well, let's get into the determining fair market value for buyers, because
Yeah, absolutely.
it's a shorter segment, but there's some critical differences, aren't there?
Absolutely.
All right.
So for the most part, when either Danielle, one of the showing partners on our team, myself, when we're out looking at homes with buyers, obviously prior to we are doing a buyer's consultation, we never want to waste anybody's time. We're trying to show people the best homes that fit their criteria for the right price. And when a buyer finds a house they like, first thing we're going to do in the house, right then and there, call the agent on speaker so the buyers can hear full disclosure. Ask them if, number one, do you have any offers coming in? If you do have offers on the table, when are you presenting them? And that way our buyers know. So if we need a sense of urgency, we can pull out our iPads, do the offer right then and there, electronic signatures. However, we really want to take the time to quickly pull, like I was talking about earlier, the comps, the comparables.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize that the comparative market analysis, it goes both directions.
It does.
So we used to call it, when my team was like super active, we called it a reverse CMA.
Yes.
You're welcome to borrow that.
Can I?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It's yours.
All
right, here we go.
All right, the reverse CMA.
Bring in value.
So again, if they're asking $300,000 for the house, we want to pull up that property and we just went through this with an offer the other day. Danielle and I were talking about it because actually no, it was Jessica. Jessica, our newest agent on our team. Mm-hmm. She's gonna be a rock star. Hi, Jessica. She's only been with us for 2 months. She's had 5 closings already.
She's
doing a great job.
Good job.
And Jessica and I were talking about this because the asking price and our offer price were very far apart. Mm-hmm. And I like to build relationships with the other agents because we want to have a win-win for everybody when at the table at closing, all the clients to feel happy. Right. So if it's an agent that we know and like, we'll call them up and say, hey, what's up with the price? Was it your sellers that weren't understanding or, they, whatever the case may be, you talk to them. And if we're coming in with a low offer, we're going to absolutely support it with comparables.
You do the homework on that.
We have to do the homework.
Wait. You don't have to do the homework.
Well, we choose to.
Yeah, you do. Your team does, but most people don't. And a lot of agents don't. Not all agents. There are some extraordinary agents out there. You and your team being one of them. But they'll take in those emotional drivers, like I want my buyer to get the greatest deal ever, and so that becomes their obsessive driver.
Or sometimes they'll think this is my buyer's dream house. Let's go in at full price, and then guess what happens? Your buyer spent $400 on an inspection. $400 or $500 on an appraisal, right? And then all of a sudden,
depending on the house and whatnot,
the house appraises for $15,000 less.
The deal falls apart.
You went in at full price because your buyer loved the house, and now they're out $1,000.
And
we do not want that to happen. We learned the hard way. We don't let that happen.
And the kicker on that is, if you saw our show a couple weeks ago, when we were talking about costs. Those 2 costs, your inspection fee and your appraisal fee, those are up front. So that's an out of pocket for the buyer.
Whether the house closes or not, that money has been spent. So we don't want our buyers to go through that. So we always will, before we write an offer, we will do the same sort of market analysis as we would do for a seller.
That reverse CMA.
Yes.
And notice we've never said that part of that CMA process is pulling houses, comparing the features and the upgrades and the updates, and then asking what your friends and family think it's worth. Because that's not part of the process.
Everybody likes talking about real estate. Everybody has an opinion, especially our first-time home buyers. Their parents are involved. We want them to be involved. It's a family decision, but we really want to make sure and drill it home and set the expectation that we are truly committed to having our clients' backs, whether we're representing the buyer or the seller. And we will literally, right in front of our clients, their parents, whoever else is out there, pull up the homes and we'll go through the inside photos, and just like with the seller, we'll find what we think are most likely the comparable properties that the appraiser is going to use. So if the house is at $300,000 and it seems like it's going to appraise for $275,000, guess what? We're lowballing an offer. If it makes sense,
But it's not an emotional decision.
Exactly.
It's based on facts.
And I tell people, and sometimes this might sound cold and callous, but it's the truth. A home is, unless it's new construction, it's used bricks and sticks. We have to take the emotion out of it. They think of it as a home.
Used bricks and sticks.
I know, I hate saying it, but it's true. It's used bricks and sticks. We take the emotion out. This is an investment for you. You're going to make it a home, but right now it's an investment. And so we find out exactly what we think the house would appraise for. And if there aren't any other offers on the table, we are going to go in at an offer amount that we feel is a win-win for everybody. We want our buyers to get a deal. We don't want the sellers to feel taken advantage of. And if we are submitting a low offer, we back it up with research. And, for the most part,
so you're actually doing your job as a professional? It's kind of crazy.
We're doing our job.
But here's the reality, and I don't think a lot of people get this, right? Is that realtors, while a lot of people have misconceptions about what a real estate agent does.
Please don't ever think of us as used car salesmen.
Well, but even beyond, even beyond all that, right? The truth of the matter is that if you really look at the realtor training and what's involved in licensure and what's involved in keeping your license with Con Ed and what's involved in the day-to-day process, while legally we're not allowed to give out legal advice, and legally we're not allowed to give out accounting advice, the truth is the entire real estate class to get your license is all based on real estate law. It is. So in reality, what we are is we're not practicing attorneys, which is why we can't give legal advice.
Right.
But we have a tremendous, if you've done your homework and you're a professional agent, professional agents like Taleya and her team, they have a tremendous understanding of the laws and things that relate to a real estate transaction. So
the market and the laws.
So you're kind of acting as, and this is really what it is, you're acting as a third party intermediary, much the same way an attorney would, but not on the legal pieces.
We can say this is what I would do, but I can't say here's legal advice. This is what would happen if you were to get sued or not, whatever. I can't obviously say that, but I can say this is the best outcome for you that's going to get you the best deal, and this is what I would do.
And going back to what you were saying about having a negotiation and a closing where the seller's happy, the buyer's happy, everyone's happy.
It's all about asking the right questions
and being a professional and taking the time to do that, knowing the questions, understanding, continuing to educate yourself, and that's what this whole show is about. Is you?
Oh my gosh,
being able
education
to
is
spill that
huge
knowledge
because things are changing all the time. They change so rapidly. And actually, again, another shout out to, I think this is like the All About Danielle show. I mean, Danielle, when I hired her 4 years ago, she was like wanting to take every single class, learn everything she could. After our very first family reunion, she came back and revamped our entire buyer's consult in full color. I had like a one sheet flow chart and I could just talk about it because I could talk real estate. Danielle really, is truly has the heart of a teacher. And the mind of somebody that is in Mensa. I mean, she's like, she's brilliant. And she
gets all this. She understands that determining fair market value for a buyer is based on numbers, data, and facts, not emotion.
Absolutely.
Doing that reverse CMA for a buyer before you make the offer, negotiating according to those facts. She's not by just flying by the seat of her pants. She actually, and the cool thing.
But what she does, though, is she's offering her emotion to them.
She is.
Danielle came to me as a buyer. Danielle, when she and her husband bought a house from me, Danielle moved from out of state. She didn't know the difference between 18 mile, 16 mile, and 20 mile, none of it. She had maybe seen the movie with Eminem, 8 Mile. That was it. And I thought, okay, I love this girl. She's going to be amazing in real estate.
And she does it right.
And she literally took every class and learned. She knows our area better than probably most people that grew up here.
Yeah, she probably does. But I guess my point is that the thing I love about you and Danielle and everyone on your team is that you guys do it the right way. They leverage the numbers. They come to a negotiation from a position of power because they know the numbers.
Yes.
Maybe the other agent doesn't. Unfortunately, sometimes that's the case. And then they don't have to worry about that third party appraisal coming in low because they've already done the homework. They've already done the research. They know the numbers.
Our clients aren't wasting money.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Which is a very, very powerful situation to be in.
Absolutely.
So that's great information.
Yeah.
It really is.
So what's next? Are we going to talk about our featured listing?
Yeah, we can do that. You ready for that?
Yes, I am.
All right. So featured listing. What do we got today? Who's our featured listing this week?
Well, we were talking about.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
That's right. Little Stone.
Yes.
All right. Ready?
So. Little Stone is technically, you guys are getting a sneak peek. This is a beautiful home that we have in Grosse Pointe that is actually not on the market yet. Carl has taken all of the photos, and it's a beautiful 1,700 square foot colonial. It's 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths. It's got a it says partially finished basement on the screen that you're seeing, but honestly, I've been through the basement recently and they've done a phenomenal job. It was a great party spot for people that want to host Christmas and things like that there. Grosse Pointe Schools, 2-car garage. I mean, this house is phenomenal. A beautiful dining room, fireplace, and it's going to be going up for sale as soon as we can find our sellers the right house. So even though they weren't our featured buyers of the week because we wanted to split it up, we want to let everybody know that this beautiful home is coming up. There's some photos. It's going to be listed for sale as soon as we can find the right house for our clients because they're in a situation where they have children and they would prefer to purchase a home and move or be in the process of moving before putting the house up for sale. So we have the pictures ready to go, the paperwork ready to go. The second they find the right house for them, this house is going up for sale. And I am diligently working with Danielle and reaching out to other agents. Any real estate agents, my friends that you're watching, please, if you have any homes coming up in Grosse Pointe, they are looking for something between 22 and 2,800 square feet with 4 bedrooms, and they want to stay in the same area so that they can list this home.
Right.
They bought it right out of college.
Aww.
They were still engaged.
Awesome.
Robert and Sarah, and I love them.
I do too.
Yeah. So.
And one of the cool things, I have some personal ties to this house too, because I spent 35 years of my life in the house right behind it.
Yes.
So I know the hood. And
it's a great neighborhood.
it was so weird going over there because like I put the address in, I shoot so many houses, and I'm always real estate marketing. That's my thing. That's what I do. I market real estate, right? And so I'm driving to the house, and I pull up, and I'm like, and she's driving with me, and then she pulls up next to this house right by my mom's house, and I was like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "This is the house." I'm like, "Oh my gosh."
He's almost thinking, "Am I getting pranked? Like
Right.
punked?"
Yeah. So Grosse Pointe Schools, I can speak from personal experience. Ridiculously amazing neighborhood to grow up in.
Yes.
Guestwater Park's right down the street. You've got
some great private schools too.
You do.
Literally, it's
Yeah.
walking distance to
Liggett.
University of Liggett,
Yep,
which is
right there.
actually call it University of Liggett for anyone that's not familiar with the Points,
Which is
but it's
a great private
K
school.
through 12. Yeah.
So Grosse Pointe has one of the greatest school systems in the country, and then they also have some amazing private schools. I've got experience with both of them, thankfully.
Yeah.
And this house is in a great location.
Dry basement. Phenomenal home.
That's
It's
key.
spacious.
That's key. What's that saying about Michigan basements? It's not if they're gonna leak, it's when.
Right. Hey, we have a high water table, but the benefit is we've got access to a lake within 5 minutes in any direction, right?
We do.
I love Michigan in the summer. I'm not so much into skiing or ice skating, but whatever.
Well, can you believe it? That's another show.
It's another show already?
Yeah.
Oh
it's
my
done.
gosh, we're done already?
We're done. I know, it's sad.
Should we give them a sneak peek on what might be coming up? We might be eventually doing 2 shows.
Oh God! No! I can't edit that, but no.
We can't edit. It's live TV. Oh, I'm so excited!
I
want to tell everybody. It's not for sure.
I know. We want to tell you. We have a whole bunch of things that we're planning for the show.
Yeah.
Super exciting things. Exciting things.
If anybody that is into the world of live streaming, as Carl calls it, or has any ideas or constructive criticism,
we got some great. Did I tell you about?
Or even, you know what? I do want everybody to like me, but I am willing to listen to.
Honest. See how honest she is.
Real criticism. Go ahead. Somebody told me a couple weeks ago that they thought the water bottle I was drinking out of was tacky, so I have my vitamin water in my cup now.
Oh, hey, Amy says hi. Amy McGregor. Hi, Amy.
Amy McGregor.
She says hi. Great show. Thank you so much.
Amy's watching. Everybody, send warm thoughts Amy's way. She has pneumonia right now. She's like, I know.
We forgot.
She's been sick. I love Amy.
We forgot one thing. What?
What did we forget?
The buyer's guide.
What?
If you're interested in buying a house.
It's so awesome.
I'm sorry. If you're interested in buying a house, you can go ahead and type buy guide in the comments, and you are going to get. No space, it doesn't have to be caps, it could be lowercase, whatever, just buy guide, all one word.
Can I say one thing about it super quick?
Say anything, it's your show.
Well, here's the thing though, a lot of people that have different, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or whatever, when they have offers, YouTube, you have to fill out a bunch of information. You have to give your address, your name, blah, blah, because they want to reach out to you and try and convince you to set an appointment and all that. You don't have to do that. Type it in. You're gonna get it.
Type buy guide. You're getting it right now.
Getting it.
And that's the way we roll. So
that's the way we roll.
And that's a good way to roll, right?
It's a good way to roll.
I love it. And then of course, if you're interested in knowing about future shows as they come up, we've got a great production calendar of some amazing content. Just type show in the comments, and you'll be subscribed to automatic notifications. And what that does is Facebook will just send you a notification at 10 to 12 or whenever we're going live. It'll say Taleya Kelly and Associates plans on going live. Click here to join the show, and it'll just bring you right here for the pre-show. And
the next show next week is going to be awesome. I can't wait. We have a really good one for next week. So
I can't wait. Well, I've had a lot of fun.
I have too. I'm Taleya.
And I'm Carl.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out after the show. But for now, we'll see you next Thursday at 1 o'clock.
Yep. Bye-bye.